Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how I built my new 48th scale Luftwaffe airbase. From the very first idea all the way to the finished diorama. I was already in the middle of building this Messerschmitt 262 HG3 from Amusing Hobby when it occurred to me that it would be nice to create a base for it, as well as for my other 48th scale Luftwaffe aircraft. A big part of my online presence revolves around photographing my models. Without a proper background, the pictures tend to look a bit dull, so I wanted to build a detailed base to use for future photo sessions. Therefore I bought a 30 by 30 cm picture frame for this purpose. The surface is large enough to place an aircraft model along with figures and accessories around it. I had previously built two sets of figures and mechanics, a Kettenkrad, a generator, crates and lots of other bits. Since I wanted the base to accommodate other, sometimes larger aircraft as well, getting the layout right was really important. At first I wasn't sure how to design the ground. Luckily I got in touch with Alex from Uschi van der Rosten, who told me about one of their newer products, the Rasensteine or air-filled pavers. Not long after, a set arrived and I have to say it's honestly the best solution for the groundwork I could have imagined. The set comes with a detailed manual full of helpful tips. Obviously it also includes plenty of paver units you can use individually, but also separate and arrange however you wish. I spent quite a while figuring out how to arrange them. Once my planning was finally done, I placed the pavers on the back of the picture frame and marked everything. I decided to use 12 paver sections plus an additional row at the back. The gaps had to be filled with individual pavers. The pieces are easy to separate, but cleaning up all the cut edges took a lot of time. As the instructions mention, the pavers should sit slightly recessed into the terrain, meaning the areas surrounding them need to be a bit higher. For this I used cork sheets, which I glued around the edges. Alex also sent me some prints of tarmac, stone slabs and wooden boards that I plan to use later on one of the adjacent areas. So after marking everything, I glued the individual paver elements to the picture frame using superglue. I had to be precise to make sure everything stayed straight and properly aligned. The wooden frame wasn't ideal because it absorbed the glue quickly. It also took forever to glue down all the pavers. To make sure everything stayed in place, I also brushed diluted PVA glue across the entire surface. Then, following the instructions, I primed the pavers and airbrushed them with light tones so they would stand out and appear brighter later on. Using an old toothbrush, I then flicked black and brown paint onto the stones for some speckling. You can see it reasonably well in the close-up. I then misted everything with a light grey. Next I had to shape the actual terrain underneath the Rasensteine. For this I used Vallejo's texture paste. And here are two recommendations for you. First, buy a proper spatula. I didn't have one and spent ages trying to cover the surface. I eventually ended up spreading the paste with my fingers and a bit of water, which worked, sort of. It was a complete mess and actually a glove would have been smart here. As you can see, it took quite a bit of effort to get the paste everywhere and into all the little recesses. Once that was finally done, I had to remove excess paste from the stones. I used damp paper towels and later a soft cloth. Here comes my second tip, which is also mentioned in the manual. Definitely seal the pavers with varnish before applying any texture paste. My coat must have been too thin or not fully cured yet, because some of the paint came off when I wiped the paste away. I left it as it was though, since it actually looked like natural weathering. After finishing all the wiping, I let everything dry thoroughly. Then I experimented with different Vallejo pigments to tint the terrain. My goal was to depict an airfield somewhere in the Mediterranean, so a fairly dry environment. But first I glued some cork sheets around the pavers using PVA glue. In a few spots I added small cork pieces to create raised areas. I protected the pavers with masking tape and moved on to the next round of texture paste. This time I used a cheaper alternative to model building brands, which worked just as well and could be applied easily with a bit of water. I worked in sections, and even then it took quite a while to get everything even. If you are planning something similar, don't forget to protect the frame and the stones with tape. Once the three corners, where natural ground would be, had dried, I applied a thin layer of Vallejo earth texture paste to match the color with the shade beneath the pavers. Then I brushed a thin layer of water over the stones and sprinkled fine sand over the still wet paste. Honestly, this wasn't a great idea because the sand was difficult to distribute on the stones. It did add some texture to the landscape areas though. Even though I had already built 2 or 3 smaller dioramas before, this one involved a lot of trial and error, as you can see. Next I applied small static grass from Noch to the terrain. I didn't want a desert, but rather a dry landscape somewhere in southern Europe. To add more natural detail, I sprinkled in small pebbles. I also tried using chunks of cork as larger rocks, but removed them later. They just didn't look right. Surely I could have simply stepped outside and picked up real stones, but honestly I was way too lazy for that. While the paste still hadn't fully cured, I used the Tamiya Kettengrad to press track marks into the ground. To fix the sand and scatter material, I dripped cheap pigment fixer across the terrain with a pipette. Then I used my static grass applicator to create upright grass. I had only used this device once or twice before, but it worked well. Although it creates quite a mess. Grass everywhere. Definitely keep a vacuum cleaner nearby. I also tried removing the sand from the pavers again, which only partly worked. The bigger challenge came next. Although I was pleased with the vegetation and layout, I still had to paint everything to achieve a dry Mediterranean look. I started with a sand-colored primer and coated everything. The sand I had sprinkled earlier had also tinted the pavers, so I sprayed them lightly as well. Then I used the lighter Vallejo sand tone. At this point I really had no idea what I was doing again, but honestly trying out different methods and learning from them is what model building is all about in my opinion. I still wasn't happy with the colors, so it was time for the pigments. I had tested various shades beforehand and eventually chose natural and light sienna, which looked closest to dry soil. I dabbed them over large areas using a brush. It took a while, but the result was much better than expected. I was getting closer to the look I wanted. For some even drier patches, I added Revell Sand Yellow. I wasn't satisfied with the grass yet, so I airbrushed it with MRP brown at a steep angle, targeting mostly the tips. That worked pretty well, and I repeated it with dark green. Then I added a bit of light green, and the result looked much more convincing. Finally, I dusted the grass with pigments to blend everything together. Meanwhile, I painted all the tiny stones individually in different colors so they wouldn't disappear into the landscape. This took quite some time, but looked good in the end. Another detail I wanted to add, since I was depicting a dry environment, was a scorched patch of ground. I simply applied black pigments in one corner, followed by some white pigments. This was easy to do, but surprisingly effective. Conveniently, the Tamiya sets include a fire extinguisher, a bucket and a fitting figure, which I plan to place there later. More detail work followed. For example, I glued small tufts of grass between the pavers. This was really fiddly, but worth the effort. I also added some dried plants for variation and vertical elements. One corner was still missing, the one where I wanted to place the printed tarmac. I wasn't entirely sure how to tackle it, but I first filled the gap between the pavers and the cork with Vallejo texture paste. Then I glued the tarmac print and a few wooden planks onto the base. I also dusted them with pigments so they would blend in better. Now the base itself was finished, and I could finally arrange all the figures, crates, barrels and so on. At first I was afraid it might be too crowded, but in the end I think it looks good when there is plenty to discover in every corner. I added some tiny details, such as spilled fuel. And whether this little cat had something to do with the fire, well, who knows. I filled these crates with resin Mk108 cannons, even if they won't fit every aircraft that I will place here. They do fit the Messerschmitt 262 though. I also attached some small barrels and boxes to a scratch-built pallet. Then I painted a medical bandage. Coated with PVA, it conforms nicely to shapes and makes a pretty convincing camo net. I also used some larger 72nd scale tools and tarps, and I think the scale difference isn't really noticeable. What made placing all the elements tricky was ensuring that other aircraft types would still fit on the base. Here you can see my current project, the TA-183 from Academy, and it fits just fine. And that's where I'd like to wrap up this video. What do you think of my Luftwaffe base? I'm quite happy with it, and you will definitely see it again in other videos. If you haven't watched the Messerschmitt 262 video yet, you will find it on my channel as usual. And for updates on my TA-183 project, check out my other channels. As always, I'd appreciate comments and constructive criticism. I know not everything on the base is super realistic, but it was my first diorama in this scale. I hope you still like it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!